And I was like, I need to get out of it, but it would stop me from working. But emotionally, I was like tied up into this. Then I realized, okay, as soon as I turned my attention to something else, maybe it was like biking and then seeing a bird or, talking to somebody else, all of a sudden that emotional pain disappeared. I said, wow, like it's just like a night and day difference. It's just a matter of our thoughts. And then I realized that we can help people with a book because our thoughts can be easily programmed to the way we want it. We can recover from heartbreak and pain by our mind and our thoughts. And then I realized that again, I played tennis and I was like, well, Rick, probably does this all the time for a living. I mean, it's so important for tennis players because we're playing individually. We don't really have anybody else to talk to on the court. The people that without need the most mental strength are tennis players. So, putting all these things together, I thought this book could cover and help almost everybody. Anybody who wanted to get to the next level in life, anybody who was struggling with heartbreak or getting over emotional pain, anybody who wanted to be mentally strong on the tennis court. So that's where it stemmed. And I was even tell my patients, like they're in wheelchairs, no ability to move their arms and legs, but mentally they were so positive. They were like rolling around, having fun, vacation, enjoying life. So it's the mind that I realized is so powerful. Our thoughts, they're worth billions of dollars.
When Dr. Leonard mentioned about the book and about mental strength, and obviously this is right in my wheelhouse, and then to kind of put together the daily double, the medical part and how the brain really works. And then what I do every day with motivation and confidence and extracting greatness from others, you got it coming from the everyday type of situation and then the medical. So that's why I knew this would be a bestseller. I knew this was going to go over the rainbow. I do this every single day, but now it's in a book where the whole world can enjoy it instead of just people on maybe court number one or on a Zoom or the other platforms that I do stuff on. So it was like a no brainer to put it in a book. And the way it came out, there was a lot of validation for me over my career. That's really is what's going on. And the way that Dr. Niv just laid it out and explained it, it was beyond empty.
I love how you broke it down. And you mentioned about overcoming those hurdles and the struggles, the heartache, the heartbreak, and the emotional components. And that's one of the things that I think really spoke out in the book is that you really take a deep dive into the emotional component because we tend to think, okay, mindset is everything. But when there's some emotional triggers or traumas and things that we're still trying to figure out in life, it's like, how do we outthink our emotions? And then you mentioned about it being on the court an individual sport. And I think personally why this book spoke to me is I'm a former fitness competitor, bodybuilder, very individual sport, very individual, but you're on stage in a competitive space. So that was such a lesson for me in the fitness space because of self-control, self-discipline, a lot of what you share in the book. And I said, wow, yes, because the mindset is completely different at that standard of excellence, especially in an individual sport. But I would love for you, Dr. Niv, to unpack some of the emotional components that you think would be hindering somebody to tap into that billion-dollar mindset.
I love that question because the emotional component is a lot of it we don't talk about because in tennis or in life, we try to shove it under the rug or be like, no, we're strong, we're strong. But emotional component, I try not to go into it too much because I didn't want a pity part. That's not what this book is about. It's just self pity. But it really is about saying, look, if there is an emotional pain, the fundamental concept behind that, and the more fundamental way to control that is to be able to recognize it, recognize why there is an emotional pain, and then getting to the root of it and then controlling that thought that's creating the emotional pain. And so that's really the essence of dealing with emotional pain. And then once you control the thought, then you're going to control the behavior. I'll give you an example. For instance, I had colleagues that I was working with before this book many years ago. And this is how I started going back into self-help. But I started communicating with them. And, when you are in a position of power as a woman, you're just starting to communicate with people. And, sometimes men take it a little bit sensitive and they can be a little bit like on the perfectionist side. So I'd be like, okay, I need this done by this day. And, I would communicate. People didn't get back to me. There was sometimes, people honest. And, so these type of interactions, sometimes you want to be friends with somebody, but you're not able to make it work for whatever reason, then it can hurt you because you start thinking, okay, what's wrong with me? Why? But this is not working. And over and over, and you try to fix yourself. Okay, I need to email a certain way. I need to call a certain way. I need to talk a certain way. I need to behave a certain way, to dress. I fixed everything. I thought, okay, every part of me was like upgraded. I tried to fix myself and I tried to improve me so I could connect with, other people I was working with. But it still didn't work. Not the same